Hello friends, in this video we will see modules in Angular 2. In JavaScript there is always a problem of namespaces. If we are not careful, then we will end up having variables and functions in global namespace. JavaScript doesn't provide code organization features. So these two are the problems which modules addresses and help in resolve them. So modules resolve these issues. Modules help us to organize our code and resolve some namespacing issues. So we will see how it helps us in organizing our code and resolving the namespacing issues. Angular 2 leverages features of ES 2015 modules and also has its own modules. So basically we are going to discuss two types of modules here, ES 2015 modules and Angular modules. So let's start with Angular modules. Now, Angular modules helps in organizing an application into cohesive blocks of functionality. Every Angular application has at least one Angular module called app module. As application gets more features, we can group those features into their feature module. We can also define shared modules for the code shared by multiple features, and this keeps the code organized and provide the cohesive unit which we can load on start or lazy load when needed. So let's see the diagrammatic structure. So there is a root module which we call it as an app module, which gets loaded on start, and it has a set of components. Now suppose our application grows and we have a separate feature. So what we do, all the code related to that feature we will have in a particular module. So we create a separate module for that feature, so that when that feature is required in another module, we can import it or export it or use that entire module. Now if there is a code which is used across all the features, then we can have a shared module which will be shared among all the modules. Now these components are defined and belong to a particular module itself. Now this component will have a code files and related dependencies to load this component when the app module is loaded. So this is how Angular 2 modules help us to have a cohesive unit or cohesive unit block or cohesive application. Now we move to the second type of modules which helps us namespacing issues. So these are ES 2015 modules. Now in ES 2015, a module is a file and a vice versa. So basically if you create a file and you import it or export it something from that file, that becomes a module. When coding in ES 2015, we do not need to define or name the module, because as soon as we create a file and we import or export from that file, that becomes a module. So we do not have to define or name a module in ES 2015 coding standards. And we know that we are going to use TypeScript with Angular 2, but we have to convert that TypeScript to ES 2015 JavaScript code so that the browser can understand that. That is why we are discussing ES 2015 modules under the Angular 2 modules section. Now how ES 2015 modules work. So basically how it works. So we have two scenarios here. The left is the export part and the right is the import part. Now on the left I have created player.ts file. Inside this ts file I have created a class, that is class player. And as soon as I export this class, it becomes a module. Now when I export this class, now this player class will be available to other modules for importing. Now this class I am going to import in the import section. So in the import section I have created another ts file, that is playerlist.ts. Now notice I have imported the player class, so I have used the import keyword. In the parenthesis I have specified the name of the class which I want to import, and then I have to specify the path from where I have to import. So I'm going to import it from player.js. Yes, you heard it correct, player.js. Now there will be question in your mind, on the left side we have player.ts, and how can we import it from player.js? Now whenever you create a player.ts and as soon as you save that file, the node package manager transpiles it to equivalent JS file. You can see below function player, so that is the JavaScript code. And when you import it in another module, so it at the runtime it basically imports from the JS file. So this is the process of transpiling and how it imported from the JS file. We'll see through demo as well. So let's go to the Visual Studio to have a small demo. Now I'm going to add a TS file to this app folder. So this is the TypeScript file template. I'll say I'm going to name it as player. So this is the player.ts file, and I will create a class player inside this. Okay, now as soon as I save this file, and if you check the show all files, then you will see player.js file being created under this folder. So here you can see player.js. So now you open this file. Now you can see it has a variable player and there is a function, so which is returning the object of player, type player. Okay, now as soon as I decorate it with export, now this becomes a module. Now you see on click of save, it is updating player.js. So this is done by Node Package Manager, npm. Now if I go to player.js, now you can see it has a variable exports dot player equal to player. So now it is basically returning the player object from this JS file. Now this is the export. So basically when you add the keyword export, this file becomes a module, and this player class is available to other modules for importing. Now I'm going to create another file, that is player list.ts, and inside this file I'm going to import. I have to specify the name of the class. I'm doing import from path dot slash player. Now here I'm not specifying any extension. We will discuss why we are not doing that, but in runtime it will import it from player.js. Now it is able to import because we have included export in player.ts, so it's a module, that is why we are able to import. Now if I remove this export, I save it, and then I go to player list.ts, you'll get an error here saying player.ts is not a module. So basically as soon as you remove the export keyword, it is not a module anymore, so you are not able to export anything from that file. So that is what I wanted to explain you. So now on export it again becomes a module, and then this error will go away. Now the next thing is that why we have not specified player.js, because at runtime it is reading from JS itself. So that answer is in system.js.config.js. Now in this file you basically maintains or says that the default extension is going to be JS. So you do not have to specify explicitly .js. So implicitly it is going to be JS. So this is about a demo about how TypeScript file can be a module and how basically you can export or import. So Angular 2 uses ES 2015 modules. When we create a code file and imports or exports something, we create modules for our application. The player class becomes module as the class is exported. We can use this class in any other module by importing it. The player list.ts file also becomes module as it imports something. We are importing player class in this file. Now finally we are going to discuss about difference between ES modules and Angular modules. So ES modules basically are code files that import or export something. Angular modules are code files that organize the application into cohesive block of functionality. ES modules organize our code files. Angular modules organize our application. ES modules modularize our code. Angular modules modularize our application. ES modules promote code reuse. Angular modules promote application boundaries. So basically ES modules are related to more of a coding. Angular modules are related to more of a cohesive block of functionality, or you can say how the application is going to be structured. So this is about Angular 2 modules, and as we go further into our playlist, we'll encounter more information about modules. Thank you, friends.